welcome. I'm excited for our Pot of Gold workshop today. This is something that we have spent a lot of time on to provide as much value as we can in just an hour. And so, yeah, we have all sorts of things to cover in creating golden connections and strategic alliances. This is a great way for businesses to generate additional revenue for their companies in all sorts of different ways. So, just wanted to talk a little bit about my experience in doing this kind of stuff. I've helped create multiple different partnerships between all sorts of different companies, help generate tens of millions of dollars in additional dollars for countless different businesses through charitable strategies, tax strategies, ways that can really help add fuel to the fire, as well as save time. So, when we talk about golden connections, there are all sorts of different ways that you can identify who a golden connection is. And so that's what we're going to be covering today. So we have some things to highlight through slides, and we're going to ask you guys a couple questions in the chat as well. So please feel free to keep this as engaging as possible. Ask any questions that you have, preferably in the chat. We'll open it up for some Q&A toward the end. And then, yeah, and just let us know what you've got, what comes to mind. So without further ado, we'll get into it. So first and foremost, I wanted to talk about what the keys are to creating golden connections. So you guys are going to get a worksheet at the end of this that you can fill out and help you identify who your golden connection is, how they can benefit your business, and the ways that you can go about implementing them. So we've worked with all sorts of different companies at Unicorn Universe to help these businesses take things to the next level, and strategic alliances are a great way to do that. We are going to cover some tips and strategies around all of that. We've got an amazing guest speaker on who has tons of experience with partnerships and strategic alliances as well. And we'll talk about him just a little bit later as well. We will even do a little bit of workshopping with your golden connection. So for those of you who are on at that time, if you want to give us your thoughts as to who your golden connection might be, we will gladly cover ways that you might be able to level up that golden connection and things around that nature. So we're happy to work with people. The thing that a lot of people don't realize is that a golden connection is designed to be something that can really change your life. And oftentimes people think of it in a very small way, and we're here to help kind of level that up. So the next part of it is that we're going to talk about, like I said, we'll give you the worksheet that has an actionable checklist, as well as the option to schedule a strategy session with us that will kind of dig in even deeper. So the goal here is to provide as much value to you as possible, because golden connections are a great way to really create a positive difference in the world. And that's something that is really important with us when we created this in the first place. So before we get started, I am curious to know who here has formed strategic alliances with another business to grow your revenue. So you'll see a poll pop up in the chat. So if you would just take a second to answer that, that would be great. And we'll kind of go from there. And then the other thing that we're going to do as we're going along in this presentation is we're going to ask some questions. We'll put those in the chat that I would love to get your feedback on, hear from people as to what their responses are related to the questions that we asked. And this is really meant to be kind of an open discussion, but we do have a lot to cover. So we're going to move quickly and we're going to go through a lot. But like I said, you'll have options and ways to continue working with us and get some more support with creating your golden connections. So one question that I want you to think about before we go on to the next part of this is, what do you think that number one thing is when it comes to creating strategic alliances? There's so many things to think about and consider when approaching strategic alliances and finding your golden connection. And I'm curious to know what you guys think that might be. So I've got Russell, who is in the chat putting the questions in there, as well as managing the poll. And yeah, so please, like I said, just take a second to respond. And yeah, great, Jake. Absolutely. Adding value is easily one of the most important things. So yeah, and we'll cover that. So let's get into it. All right. So first and foremost, the keys. This is like just laying it all out there. What are those 5 keys to creating golden connections? First and foremost, you got to know what you're trying to achieve with it. What is your company's mission? What is your vision for your company? And what do you stand for? Because so often people just focus on the revenue side of things, and they can end up aligning with the wrong people because they don't align with their values. And that's so important that you find people that align with your values. Otherwise, it's probably not going to work out just in general. So then the next point is, what is the overall objective that you're trying to accomplish? Are you trying to find a strategic partnership? Are you looking for a joint venture? Are you looking to cross collaborate? Maybe you want to generate more attention for your business. Maybe you want to leverage each other's networks on social media. Maybe you're looking for a key player that can take your business to the next level. A great example of this is Sheryl Sandberg. If anybody knows who she was working at Google when she was approached by another company to leave her job and come be their chief operating officer. Sheryl was a key player in growing that company's operations and advertising business. And under her leadership, she took that company from 150 million users to one with over 2 billion users and a market capitalization of over $500 billion. Sheryl Sandberg is a perfect example of a golden connection as a key player. Anybody have any guesses as to whose golden connection was Sheryl Sandberg? No? That would be Mark Zuckerberg's at his little-known social media company called Facebook. So that one connection changed everything under her leadership. And that's what we're talking about when it comes to finding a key player. It could be adding additional revenue streams to your business, saving time, or creating new opportunities. So I want you to think about what your business goals are and what type of alliances would actually help you achieve them. Because you can be sitting next to a billionaire and not know what to do about it because you don't have the right strategy in place. So you got to know what your objective is, and you got to know how you're going to approach that connection when you meet them. So the other thing, I'd like to know what you guys think is the most important factor to consider when establishing objectives and goals for your strategic alliance. Would it be the alignment of your values and your mission, clearly defined roles and responsibilities, realistic expectations, and the timeline? Or is there more to it? Go ahead and answer that question. Let's see here. We should have that coming up here in the chat. Russell, if you would end that first one and go to the second poll.
Daniel, I'm not allowed to vote, right?
Let's see here.
I don't know if my vote's working or not working.
Here, it might pop up now.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah. Okay, so we got alignment of values and mission, realistic expectations and timeline. Yeah, great answers. I mean, it really, in my opinion, it really comes down to aligned mission and values. Because like I said, if you are not working toward the same objective, you're going to be spinning your wheels and it's not going to work out. Simple as that. So the next part of this is identifying who your golden connection is. So you came up with the objective, you know what your goals are. Now, who can actually help you accomplish that? Is it somebody that is working with a lot of the same clients as you are? Is it somebody that has something to offer that you maybe don't, but could add value to your clients? Maybe it's somebody that is working with people that are working with a lot of your clients. This is one of the things that we talk about when we say level up your golden connection. It's not just a strategic partnership, but it could be somebody that aligns you with multiple strategic partnerships. And when you know how you're going to add value, which is the fourth key, then you can really get very strategic and crafty at creating successful golden connections. And the last one is very important because they don't always work out right off the bat. When you have a clear, compelling message as to how you're going to provide value and it's going to be mutually beneficial for all parties involved, then it might work out great. But in the meantime, as you're trying to build that value and show your support and belief in what that person's doing and help them understand how you can work together, you got to nurture those relationships. So there are so many different ways that you can do that, be it through sharing resources, shouting them out on social media, making connections or introductions to people that you think would help them out. But that really also comes down to the mission, vision, and values, because when you know what somebody's trying to accomplish and you can provide solutions that help them get there, that adds a ton of value. And sometimes those solutions are as simple as a question or as a connection, right? So, yeah. So with that, I did want to get into our I did want to cover a little bit about the establishing objectives and the goals. So, like I said, take a minute to think about what your business's strengths and weaknesses are and what your core values are. And then what are the alliances that you're going to focus on to try to achieve them? Once you know those things, then you can really start working on all the other stuff. You should already know your core values, your mission, the vision that you have for your company. So then the next part is what are you trying to accomplish in general? So let's see here. With that, let's see. We covered the strengths and weaknesses. These are also some areas that you're going to want to think about that can really help take your golden connection to the next level. Oftentimes we find people that can complement the strengths or the weaknesses that we have, and maybe we have strengths that can complement somebody else's weaknesses. So think about what your business's strengths and weaknesses are and what your core values are, and that's going to be very important when it comes to creating those golden connections. Like I said, we're going to go fast here. So now, the next part, I want to introduce our guest speaker, Val Torres. This is one of my favorite people that I met on LinkedIn, and we really just hit it off. I mean, Val is an incredible person. He comes from Spanish descent, as do I. He's the president and CEO of Armada Business Solutions and the director of national partnerships at Health Data for Good. He is doing all sorts of strategic things related to strategic alliances. And he's going to talk with us today about the value of strategic alliances. Through his experience in all things related to partnerships and collaboration and working with communities, he felt like the perfect person to have on today. So Val, I really appreciate you being here. I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen and give you the mic for a minute. So thank you once again, and please welcome Val Torres.
Awesome, awesome. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. So I am Dr. Val Torres. I am Director of National Partnerships at Health Data for Good, HDFG for short, and I'm soon to become their Chief Partnerships Officer. So let me just give you a heads up about my role at HDFG because it's all about partnerships. So I'm the ultimate authority on the growth of HDFG's membership. I'm generally tasked with nurturing their partnership economy and their stakeholder ecosystem. I also add and unlock major revenue streams with partnerships, building bigger, better business impact. I start and streamline the sales process from client and strategic partner acquisition to negotiating agreements and then to closing. These partnerships are geared towards co-selling, co-marketing, and co-branding. This partnership revenue model places a heavy emphasis on collaboration, cooperation, and co-production. It's built heavily on consumer trust and authentic relationships. So let me use an example of a partnership that we're finalizing right now with the University of Central Florida, their foundation and their School of Medicine. So what's the value of strategic alliances and partnerships for revenue growth? That's the question of the day. Well, there's plenty. Let me articulate the value in 7 points. 1, you gain access to your partner's capabilities. So UCF has around 70,000 students, 70, at any point in time. It's the largest university by enrollment in the state of Florida, one of the largest in the United States. They give out about 20,000 degrees every year, and they're very involved in community partnerships, world-class research, leaders in tech, specifically data science. So partnership with UCF would give you access to their target audience and their own professional networks. 2, you increase expertise and resources. UCF has more than 240 degree programs taught by expert faculty in and outside the state of Florida, even nationally. A partnership with them would give you access to their people's social and intellectual capital. Remember, people do business with people they like, know, and trust. They do business with people who are successful at what they do. And people want expert advice, and they need best practices from real experts with real experience and real credentials. 3, you boost revenue streams and reach new markets. So UCF is a Hispanic serving institution, an HSI. Thus, working with them gives you access to the US Hispanic and Latino target audience and market. A partnership would grant you access not only to their student base, but their alumni base as well. And it would give you access to the HSI network in the United States. 4, you enhance the reputation within your industry. So for Health Data for Good, the US Hispanics and Latinos are a big audience for us. So building a solid, authentic relationship with HSIs is a very smart move. 5, you broaden brand awareness and you deepen trust. So partnering with UCF opens up marketing channels to their own audience, student base, and their own community partnerships. 6, you achieve deeper insight into customer perspectives. Now, working with an HSI gives you a better idea of what US Hispanics and Latinos want, what they need, and what they prioritize in terms of products and services. There is also a cultural aspect to buying and selling, right, when it comes to doing business in partnerships. And 7, lastly, you add value to your customer's experience. Now, the reality is that everyone is trying to sell something. After all, business is an exchange of goods and services. The key is to give a little extra, and by partnering with a huge university like UCF, we'll be attaching ourselves to a brand that is associated with improving the quality of lives of Americans through education. Now, these 7 points are mostly benefits to the company itself, Health Data for Good. As a business owner, for me, I also get benefits as well. So there's the mass influx of connections, leadership, advisory, speakership opportunities. I'm basically able to grow my network on steroids, so that I have options when it comes to job opportunities and other strategic partnerships. Overall, Health Data for Good aims to partner with every minority serving institution and nonprofit in the United States and internationally. And I'm the guy who like controls all of that. I'm the puppet master, which is awesome. And it's not just healthcare, it's outside of healthcare as well. So being director of national partnerships adds some serious teeth to my network. And of course, as Daniel said, strategic partnerships, they're reciprocal. I don't just take, I give as well. I add value to what they're doing, for sure. But yes, any questions? I know that was a lot.
Yeah, Val, I'd love to know some of the ways that you look at adding value for those strategic alliances.
So yes, they're teaching institutions. So when it comes to research, right? When I'm networking, when I prospecting and I meet Latino, Hispanic nonprofits who want to make a good change in their community, I can refer them, right? A lot of Hispanics, they're not really big in the clinical trial space. So that is something that options we can give them as well. And when it comes to resources, education, UCF plays a very big role in data science. So social determinants of health, the stuff that in life that's outside of the doctor's visit that affects your health and how long you live. That's what they focus on. So educating the masses, that's what we do as well. So we just share that education around.
Hey,
Awesome.
Val, I'd like to know, how do you connect to other connectors that are out there?
Oh, this is awesome. So universities and colleges, they have events, right? A lot of times when you work with a company and you build rapport, they invite you to these things, right? These events, they're usually hosted on campus, but a lot of them are virtually as well. The invitations are sometimes exclusive. They like the decision makers in the room. So through a partnership like this, you get the invites, you get the exclusive details, which is awesome.
That's great.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Val? Probably have some more in myself, but want to give some time to other people to ask some questions. You guys are welcome to use the chat as well. Val, do you have any examples or stories about a time that you've seen, or maybe it was with yourself, but a couple businesses collaborating together that have generated some significant success through creating strategic alliances?
Oh, yes, of course. So my favorite industry is financial services. So you have businesses that they sell insurance, but you have so many different lines of insurance. Not everybody can do everything at one time. So different agencies that do different things come together and they work together. They have revenue sharing agreements, and it's very profitable for everybody who comes to the table.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I am totally with you. That's one of the amazing things about the financial services industry is there's so many ways to create strategic alliances that create wins for everybody, right? We like to
Well,
we like to create wins, not win-wins, but wins where it's a win all the way around and nobody
mhm.
loses. So, yeah, I love that. And for everybody here, I mentioned earlier some of the tax things that we've done, and they're through these types of strategies. It's a great way for individuals to save tons of money. It's a great way for financial services professionals to generate additional revenue. It's a great way for, in the example I used earlier, a charitable organization to receive a significant amount of contributions for their organization. And then they can then partner up with other companies to generate even more from those contributions that they receive. That creates even greater exponential value. And that to me is a great example of a golden connection where there's so many different pieces involved. Everybody wins from it. And it created a whole new opportunity. So, yeah. And we also have Michael Gray on. He's the one that just asked the last question to Val about finding connectors. He's the chief creative unicorn of Unicorn Universe and my business partner. Super connector, just amazing guy. And so he'll jump in here and there as well. And yeah, just wanted to throw that out there too. So, does anybody else have any questions for Val before we move on to some of the next parts? No? All right.
I would just ask really quick, how do we best leverage your network and create partnerships with you? How can we help you the most, Val?
Just ask,
Yeah.
right? I am big in the Hispanic market, so anything that adds value to Hispanics, that's good for me, and any other minorities as well, in and out of healthcare, right? I'm basically the Michael Gray at Health Data for Good, right? To put it simply, right?
Yes. Yeah, I have several people we've been talking about that I need to introduce you to. One is having an event. This is one of the things that I like to do, guys, to create these opportunities and these connections to find these level people. I'm going to her event. It'll be in Las Vegas on April 14th and 15th. She has sponsorship available for that. For that, you get access to just amazing people within the Hispanic community. She was 3 years the vice chair of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for the United States of America, and served for the on the the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for 11 years. So she has just very deep relationships with the Hispanic business owners and leadership throughout the United States. And so if anyone's interested in tapping that, like what I would suggest is, find ways to sponsor those sort of events. She has an amazing nonprofit that she does her work for, and that's how you kind of, and what's interesting, and I think this is the case with Val too, right? A great way to get into these organizations and to provide, get that sort of access is to provide, donations to the service, because a lot of people that are in this space are, they're servants, and Val's one of those. And so if you can help, kind of meet their heart goal, they can help you with other things, right? So that's just an example of, how I might leverage an amazing relationship like Val's.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I love that you mentioned that, and I think that'll be a good thing to cover when it comes to ways that we can leverage resources and reciprocating with people. And so that we'll get into here in just a couple minutes. And yeah, so Val, real quick, would you mind putting maybe your LinkedIn in the chat, and or wherever it's best for people to connect with you? Because I know you have just a wealth of knowledge. We only scratched, I wouldn't even say we scratched the surface. We kind of looked at it, right? So yeah,
Oh,
that
of
would be
course.
great. So let's, and Val's going to keep interacting as we go through some of this. Like I said, this is meant to be just a lot of value thrown at you, and so we're just going to keep flying through this. Ideally, we can get to a point where we workshop some golden connections and help people see how they could level them up. So I'm going to keep going here. So Val, I really appreciate you, and like I said, make sure to connect with Val. He is amazing. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. So let's go into the next part of this. So the next part is all about targeting the connections and establishing those strategic alliances. So as we go through this, I want you to think about a few questions. One is, where can you even find the potential partners? Could that be through your own network? Could that be through existing connections? Could it be through different events like the one that Michael Gray was just talking about? Maybe it's simply through LinkedIn. It could be through an existing partner that you already have. There's so many different places that you can find those strategic alliances, but it all starts with the connection, right? So you got to really know what it is that you're going for. And what's amazing about this whole golden connection philosophy is that, and strategy, is that when you go to these events, you go at them with a completely different mindset. You stop thinking about who can buy my service, and it becomes more of who can I collaborate with? Who would be a good partnership that I can provide value to? And then you take it from there. And so you don't approach people like, hey, here's my business card, I hope you buy my service. Nobody wants that. Nobody likes that. And I don't recommend anybody does that, regardless of whether or not you've gone through the Golden Connection course or worked with us on your Golden Connection through our Climbing the Rainbow, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But it's just very important that you really think about those things and identify ways that you can collaborate with people. So another thing that you're going to want to think about, we've talked about this, is really what type of alliance is going to be the best fit for your business. So is that a joint venture? Is it somebody that is that key player like we talked about with Sheryl Sandberg? Is it somebody that creates a new opportunity? There's so many examples of that it all just kind of comes down to what is best for your business. So you got to know that. And then think about how you can take it one step further and level it up. Like I said earlier, is that somebody who can align you with multiple people that can create consistent deal flow for your business? Is it somebody that can align you with multiple people that you can cross collaborate with? You know, we've set up somewhere around 100 partnerships with companies that are not only willing, but excited to collaborate with us, excited to cross promote. When you have other brands talking about you, that creates so much more credibility for your company than when you do it for yourself. So think about those things. So I'm curious, and you're going to see a poll come up here in just a second. What would you say is the most effective way to find partners for a strategic alliance? Could it be referrals from your existing network? Is it industry events and conferences? Or is it online networking like LinkedIn or other types of platforms? Let me know what you think. So, and if you don't see the answer that you're looking for, go ahead and put that in the chat. So with that, we'll give it just a couple seconds. Online networking platforms such as LinkedIn, that one's got the most votes right now. I mean, I love LinkedIn, right? Val and I, we connected from LinkedIn, right? And it's funny because if you're not familiar with Social Saturday, I'm pretty sure that's how we got connected, Val. And a lot of people have thrown a lot of shade towards that, have discredited it, have said that it's not worth it. But here we are right now collaborating on a workshop. And there's so many more opportunities that can come from that. And all this came from LinkedIn. I met tons of people from LinkedIn that are just incredible people. So keep an open mind. Really think about what can be, how you can provide value to other people, because that's where it really comes, that's what it really comes down to. So we've got basically a tie. Yeah, because they're all great answers. It can be referrals from your network. It can be industry events and conferences. It can be online networking. It can be being part of a community. It can be getting referrals from, you know, your friends, tapping into your existing network, whatever it might be. But ultimately, you got to know what it is that what you're trying to accomplish. And then how can you reciprocate, right? So I just mentioned that there are so many different ways you can reciprocate and share resources and leverage resources. So think about these questions. What are the resources that you can offer to your partner? And then what resources do you need from them? So Michael Gray just talked about an event that we're getting involved with, and we're providing people that can sponsor. We've provided people that want to attend. We have helped shout them out on social media, done all these things that we're able to do that provide value and reciprocate to the company that's doing the event for simply having us there. And so these strategies where you can collaborate with people and come up with ways that are mutually beneficial for everybody is super important to creating a successful strategic alliance. So what would you guys think? Here's another poll for you. What would you say is the most important resource to share with your partner or strategic alliance? Is it that industry knowledge and expertise, like Val is doing today, providing his knowledge and expertise for the benefit of everybody on the call today? Is it sharing your customer base and leads? Maybe you have an agreement where when somebody signs up for my service, I'll give you their information and vice versa, which is totally allowed. Or maybe it's giving access to technology. There's so many systems out there that'll give you multiple licenses. And that's just a very simple way to share resources. And it is okay. There are some systems that don't want you to do that, so be mindful of that. But it could also be, when we talk about sharing resources, that could be sharing your audience on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever. It could be providing additional guides or access to communities or masterminds or things like that that people can leverage from other companies to really add additional value to their own business. So there's so many different ways that you can approach that. And that's really what it comes down to. Just kind of figuring out what's going to be of mutual benefit for everybody involved. So, like I said, we're moving fast, and I am trying to do that very intentionally so we can cover some workshopping and go through just, everything we got to cover today. Because there's a lot to this. We work with people twice a month for 2 hours, focusing on golden connections, focusing on leveling them up, focusing on ways they can provide value, leverage resources, and all of that. So for me to cram it into an hour is just not possible. But we're doing our best. So that's why we're going kind of quick. Now, before we do move on to the next part, does anybody have any questions up to right now? Any thoughts about ways that you can share resources, reciprocate with others, add value? I would love to know.
I wanted to talk about, basically reaching those contacts, reaching the right relationships, right? One of the best ways that I've found to do this, being a connector, because I'm the guy that people often come to and ask, how can I get to this person? I do the same thing myself. So I trust the leaders, the connectors that run these events in a lot of cases, or they're just about town. Some, they're like the furniture at some of these events. They're always involved. They're always helping others. They're always involved in nonprofit 501c3 opportunities. I always go to them and say, hey, if you had the chance to invite me, introduce me to 3 people in the room, who would those 3 people be? And inevitably, one of the 3 is just a huge connection. It's happened most recently with a friend that I'm working on with a bunch of restaurants. And it just gets you right to the right people, because the connectors know those people, and the connectors know you. They know who you are and who you'd like to work with, both not just from a working relationship, but also from a stylistic relationship in terms of who you are and what you're about, your vision and values.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Anything before we move on? Okay, cool. We're making good time. So next part I wanted to cover is about overcoming challenges and obstacles. So many times when we're working on partnerships, there are so many things that can come up when trying to make them happen. And you want to know the number one thing that causes partnerships to fail? It's that they don't actually get done. Simple as that. I know it sounds silly, but that is literally what it comes down to. And then when they do happen, when you sign on the dotted, or when you sign on the agreement and you create that partnership, then it's, what are the next steps, right? And so many times people will put all this effort into creating the partnership, but not have any clear next steps to take after the fact. And so that's why we're going to give you the worksheet that gives you all the next steps to take, a checklist to go through, and ways to identify your golden connection, because that is so important. You got to take action on those next steps. And that is very important when it comes to even creating the strategic alliance in the first place. Sometimes before you create the partnership, before you even start negotiating, you should be talking about what the next steps are going to be. What is that kickoff going to look like? What are those roles and responsibilities? And how much time is it going to take? Because some of the biggest challenges that we face when creating partnerships are a lack of patience, maybe trying to move too quickly and not creating enough trust, which makes the whole negotiation even more challenging. It might be a misalignment of values and just being incompatible. It could just be being imbalanced. Maybe the partnership is way too heavily skewed on one side, and one person feels like they're getting taken advantage of. You should make sure that both parties feel like they are winning, feel like this is going to benefit their business in ways that take them to the next level. So think about those questions. What challenges have you faced when forming strategic alliances, and how can you overcome them? And so that way, when one of them doesn't work out, before you go on to the next one, take some time to step back and reflect. What happened here? Why didn't it work out? So I see Russell put the poll up. Thank you, about what the biggest challenges are in forming strategic alliances. And yeah, it's all of them. It comes down to all of them. And ultimately, not having a strategy in place to make it happen is exactly where people go wrong from the very beginning. Because if you don't know what your mission is and your values and what you're trying to accomplish, you don't know what the shared goals and the values are, you don't have that trust in place and solid communication protocols established, and ultimately the dynamic of the relationship is imbalanced, it's not going to work. There's a lot that goes into it, and you got to make sure that they're all taken care of before you try to make it happen. So with that, let's go into some workshopping. So we're going to spend a couple minutes here. I would like to know if anybody has an idea of who their golden connection might be, and let's just collaborate on that for a minute. Let's talk about ways that that could maybe be leveled up. So I need a volunteer for this, and if I don't get one, then I might have to give a shout out to to my business partner Mike or Val. But yeah, anybody have a golden connection statement? Like, who is your golden connection? And let's talk about it. Let's collaborate and figure out how we can level that up. And then maybe, just maybe, we can actually create those golden connections for each other. So that's what it all comes down to. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. Anybody want to volunteer? Let's talk about your golden connection.
Hey, Daniel, it's Dan Rawls.
Hey Dan, great to see you.
And
Hey, good morning. Good morning. So I just thought I would share with you a thank you note that I just received in the mail yesterday from someone that I haven't seen in probably 8 years. I'm from Tennessee. I split my time in Utah and Tennessee. And this person has become a wildly successful builder in his world. Just out of the blue, he sends me a thank you note. And I think there's a couple of teaching moments in this, but he said, a much belated thank you for all you did while you were directing the other organization you were part of. You pushed me out of my comfort zone big time, and you encouraged connections that live on to this day. And I've made millions of dollars just based on your efforts. At this point, it's so many levels deep, I've just lost count. And when you were running that organization, you influenced the lives and businesses of countless people, and we all owe you a debt of gratitude and appreciation, John. And I don't know, that just kind of spoke to me, just as you all shared that about curating connections. I wrote something on my LinkedIn just about curating connections yesterday. And, a lot of people seek that golden goose referral. They seek that golden goose introduction. And just in listening to everybody here, I think in my experience of having started 135 business groups in 7 states, many of which are still going today, so many people jump into it too fast. They try to go to the trust thing right away. Well, I mean, Daniel, you and I talked on the phone 4.5 months ago, and then we met in person last week. And, it just takes time to cultivate that. But people they want you to open up your network to them, and they're not even at the like stage yet. We teach like, know, and trust. And Michael, I don't know you yet, but Daniel told me about you, and it's just, people want to tap into, quote, my network all the time. I mean, my LinkedIn and Facebook and social media, that's just a small portion of who I know for golden connections. But if people take the time to unsystemize everything that they do, just look at my short article that I wrote yesterday. I don't write a lot, but maybe that'll resonate with you, that maybe I just need to slow down and be intentional when I go to events, follow up with people. I mean, look, if you got a thank you note in the mail 8 to 9 years later after someone was your client, and he dropped out of one of my groups years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
it just like, how would that make you feel? It wasn't an email. It wasn't a text. He texted me and said, "Hey, what's your current mailing address for right now?" And I said, "That's kind of an odd question. I mean, I haven't talked to him in 8 years." Well, he wasn't going to tell me because he didn't want to ruin the surprise. But where did he go on the referral curve with me? If this was your person, where would he go? And guess what? Someone that's been a client of mine in Utah for 15 years is moving to Tennessee. And we had a conversation Monday, and he said, "Hey, I've bought some land. I'm looking to build something. Who do you know?" I sent the text, a 3-way introduction, 12 hours before I got the thank you note.
Yeah.
So the thank you note, I need to go back to that text and say, I just want to make sure you all had a conversation. And so, people will go out of their way, Daniel, to help you if you don't have a hidden agenda, and I'm just listening to everybody here. And unfortunately with Zoom and just in today's world, people just want to systemize everything from constant contacts to CRMs to everything. It's like, slow down a little bit. Something I've taught for years. I learned this 35 years ago when I started with my company. In relationships, Daniel, you build width for profitability. How many people? But you build depth for security. What is the depth of people that you can get to know? And if you go deep with people and it's not the surfacey networking relationships, you'll find that those joint ventures, those strategic partnerships that you're talking about, people will be like, "Hey, he's not trying to upsell anything. He just wants to help me." So yeah. Daniel, thanks for sending me the invite to be on.
Absolutely. Well, and thank you for being here. I really appreciate that insight. And I wanted to throw it over to Michael Gray, my business partner, to talk a little bit about this phrase that he has really emphasized and brought into my life that I try to live by now. And Mike, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about.
People, not
projects.
projects.
Tell us a little bit about it. Yeah. Tell us about people, not projects.
Yeah, because I mean, I've done a lot of things in my life, Dan, probably like yourself, probably like everybody on this call. And, I could always do a new project, right? I could do my own project. I could do whatever. But I mean, I'm just more interested in getting to know the person. And if I know, like, and trust the person, then we're going to do multiple things together, right? Like, it's not one particular project. It's just life, right? Like, we're going to live together. We're going to work together. We're going to find ways to create value for each other. One of the greatest examples of that is probably Nathan Bailey, my partner. I work with a company called Humminbird. We serve over 70,000 online sellers on Amazon. We have a community of people that like, know, and trust us. And I developed a relationship with Nathan, spent time with him. He was a little, quite frankly, a little bit worried about me just, initially coming into his community, because what he has is very sacred. And I was not going to betray that trust. But shortly after, I thought, okay, you spent some time with this guy. He's extremely busy, obviously has a lot of things going on. And what was funny at the time was he kind of had semi-retired almost. He was playing a lot of golf. And I told him, hey, I really have this idea. I think it'd be cool to work on something together. But I really want to get to know your community first. He's like, well, he goes, I would love to have you come out. He goes, I'll pay for you to come out. You come out and meet our people. Right. And so going through that process, I met his community. I understood why he serves his community the way he does. And now it's sacred to me. These people that I work with, which, every single one of them, the hundreds of people that we've worked on and created their business. We like to say we bring moms and dads home. We've done that over the last 4 years. And now when I go to the events, people come up to me and they're like, hey, Mike, thank you so much for helping me. My business is thriving. And you don't hear these stories, right, Dan? Sometimes these stories happen every day as a connector. And the other amazing stories that happen are the friendships that are created. And I recently had a friend of mine reach out to me and say, hey man, I just want to thank you so much for introducing me to Ty, and he's now like one of my very best friends. And I just realized that came from you. Like you made that introduction, and I want to have you as my guest over at the Biltmore Hotel. And he gave me a free night and dinner and all this stuff. And so, these people want to reciprocate for what you do, and you have to allow them to. But to Dan's point, a lot of it's about timing. Like, don't rush it. The best thing to do is to become a friend first, if that's at all possible, and it should be possible in this time and age, because we all need friends. So, and it becomes a point of differentiation because everybody else is after the person for their contacts, for who they are and what they are. And I've known Jim as an example. I've known Nathan's partner, Jim Cockram. You could look him up. He's a very well-known individual influencer in the online space, specifically on Amazon and eBay. And I've known him now for 4 years. Now and only now are we really starting to talk about, okay, how do we ratchet up what we're doing in this business? And now he's just ready to go. Like there's so much trust, so many testimonials, so many great experiences that there's no way he's going to say no to anything, really. So it's really important that you develop that relationship first. People, at the end of the day, we're human to human relationships, right? Everybody wants that. If they don't, and that's not something that they're looking to do, I just don't have time for them right now. That's just where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Mike, for sharing that. Everything that we do is focused on people. And at the end of the day, businesses are there to make money. But when you focus on the people and provide as much value as you can, that's when things really become magical. So when I met Mike, and as we've continued working together and he's continued to show me the value of focusing on people, it's become very clear to me that it's everything, right? You got to focus on the people. When you focus on the people, that's when you prosper. So I really appreciate that, Mike. All right, so we've got just a couple minutes left, and I do want to make sure to cover. So we are doing, I mentioned that we have ways to help people create their golden connections, and we have a pretty amazing community of unicorns that help each other do exactly that. So I want to cover some of the special things that we're doing now to kickstart people's golden connection, to help them leverage what we have created here at Unicorn Universe. So the Climbing the Rainbow is a membership that we have that gives people access to our community. This is really for businesses that are ready to scale through next level partnerships, where you can leverage the community, connections, and collaborate with others to find and create your golden connections. We have a platform that people can chat and connect and share resources and all sorts of things, as well as a weekly networking call. I hate calling it a networking call because it's a connection call. It's really focused on the people, not the projects, and finding ways that we can support each other. And so we do that every week on Fridays, and that's included with our Climbing the Rainbow membership. We also include a mastermind that we call the Pot of Gold Masterminds. This is like a very, fast version of that mastermind. And, when you join, you get everybody's knowledge focused on your business and how you can create those golden connections and level them up. So we have those twice a month. And then in addition to that, if you need additional support to create your golden connections, you have access to us, where we'll dig in and strategize with you. And we'll even give people invitations to events. And finally, we have yet to launch it, but we are putting together a Golden Connections Mastery course that would be included with the Climbing the Rainbow membership. And so that's just another way for people to really benefit from being in the community, leveraging other people's information and knowledge and expertise, and really take those connections to the next level. So you're probably wondering, that sounds amazing. How much is this going to cost? Well, we've set this up to where the very first month that you join, we're giving it to you completely free. So it's $9.97 a month. And that first month you have to try us out, see if it's worth continuing on with us, and ultimately start leveraging those connections, start leveraging the power of the mastermind effect. Because when we all come together and strategize in ways that we can really take each other's business to the next level, that's what can really make a huge difference in our business. So you'll see the link in the chat come through to sign up for that membership if you are interested. And by all means, if you have any questions or you would like to learn more about it, maybe you're not ready to jump the gun right now, we are doing this through the end of the month, but you are welcome to schedule a community discussion with us. Just go to communitydiscussion.unicornuniverse.io and we'll answer all the questions you might have about what else is all included and things like that. So I also mentioned the Golden Connections Mastery course. What is that? Well, we're going to really leverage the people that are in our community. We're all about collaboration. So we do all sorts of strategic things where we bring partners together. And that's exactly what this course is all about. We will bring in people who have expertise in everything that you need to know in creating partnerships, joint ventures, strategic alliances, cross-promoting with each other, finding those key players, whatever it might be. We're going to give you the know-how to identify your golden connection, give you the additional tools and resources, which I'm going to give you the guide, the worksheet in the chat here in just a second, and the insights. And you still get a one-on-one strategy session with us. So when you go through the course, you can go through all the things that you're looking at, ways that you can create that golden connection. And then you meet with us and we'll dig in with you and say, hey, I love it. That sounds great. Let's level it up a bit. Let's come up with ways that you can nurture those relationships. Let's figure out a solid value statement that is clear, concise, and compelling, that when you tell it to somebody, they'd have to be crazy to say, no, I don't want to work with you, right? And that should only be if you hadn't identified that they align with your mission and values. So with that, like I said, it's not ready yet. We have a target date of mid to late April to actually have that launched. But for anybody that does want to sign up for it, special deal for people if they sign up today, which is $497 one time. With that, we're even going to throw in a month of our Climbing the Rainbow membership. So you go through the course, you get access to the community, and you connect with people and strategize with people and leverage the mastermind to do exactly that. So this is a pre-sale only. When we launch the course, it's going to be $997. Again, that will also include probably just one of the mastermind calls, because most of that value comes from those early conversations, comes from collaborating and leveraging each other's knowledge and information. And so that's our offer for you today. You should have those links to sign up now. And yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know. Again, you can always schedule a call to dig in deeper and we'll answer any questions you have at communitydiscussion.unicornuniverse.io. So with that, what are the next steps? We talked about this earlier. You got to have some next steps, right? So the next thing is get the worksheet. This is totally free. You'll see the link there in the chat. We should have already had it, but that's on me. So go ahead and click that link. You fill out the form, and that's going to give you the worksheet. And let me actually show you what that looks like here, because it's pretty awesome, in my opinion. I'm a little biased because I did create it. So this is what that looks like. All right. So we talked earlier about going through the 5 keys to creating your golden connection. You got to know what these things are. What is your mission, vision, and values? State it. What is the objective you're trying to accomplish? State it. Then identify who that golden connection is, where you might find them. State it. Put it right here. And then how are you going to provide value to them? What are you going to do that makes that relationship so solid because you've continued to provide value to that person without expecting them to buy something from you? you got to do it from a place of authenticity and just help them understand how you can help them to begin with before you try to close them on becoming a strategic partner. By the time you get to that, it should be a no-brainer that they're like, oh yeah, we definitely need to be partnering up. In the meantime, nurture that relationship, stay top of mind, send them a thank you card, right? Make introductions to people that you think will help them grow, and then go through the checklist. All of these things on this checklist are designed to help you create successful strategic alliances. And when you go through them all, you nail your 5 keys, you cross off all the items on the checklist, you're going to have a much greater chance of success. And then state your golden connection. The most important part of all of this is being able to articulate who your golden connection is and make it so clear that you can tell other people. Because I don't know about you, but I get asked almost every time I'm in a meeting with somebody, hey, who can I connect you with? And when you know who your golden connection is, like I said earlier, you can be sitting next to a billionaire and not know what to do about it. But when you know who your golden connection is, if it's that billionaire, if it's somebody that adds value to your life, maybe it's something totally personal. Because that's the thing. We've been very focused on the revenue side of creating golden connections, but golden connections can be very personal. And so make sure you know exactly who that is. And then, of course, we're here to support you. We're here to collaborate. So if you want to dig in with us, you can go to goldenstrategy.unicornuniverse.io, book a free strategy session with us. We're just throwing that in. Half hour. I would say have this filled out ahead of time. But if you have questions and you want support filling it out together, we're happy to do that too. So yeah, with that, those are your next steps. So go through, grab your worksheet, identify who your golden connection is, and start working on it. Book that free strategy session.
Hey, Daniel,
Yeah.
I want to add one more thing to your sheet. And this is just something that I've found, and I'm sure Dan has found this too. When you're connecting with somebody and you're building a relationship for the first time, I believe in being first, right? So if you can find out what makes them tick, what is that going? It looked like there was a repeat there. If you can find out what makes them tick and really what their needs are and take care of them first, I would say almost 100% of the time they reciprocate. And so if you can be first and really be intentional about that, you're going to develop an amazing relationship. Or you're going to know that, okay, this person's not reciprocal, right? And you know where you stand and you can make a decision from there, right?
Yeah,
but at least
absolutely.
you've done what you're supposed to do on your side, right?
Right. Well, and that comes down to the value part of this, right? Is provide that value and don't rush into it, right? And that's very important that you can show them that you can provide value and that you're going to provide value continuously, and you don't want to jump into it. So yeah, I mean, I appreciate you saying that. I totally agree. And it's very important that we don't ask before we give. We don't ask for something before we give something. Even if it's just a simple, like, resource. It could be a tool to some piece of software that helps them operate more efficiently. That's something that's very, I love doing that. I'll be having a conversation with somebody and it'll pop into my head about, Chat GPT. It's a very popular thing right now. And I'll say, hey, are you doing anything with this? And before we know it, we're having a whole conversation and a deep dive into what you can use Chat GPT for. Did this yesterday, and I did it this morning even. Just providing value, right? Give, and don't worry about getting anything back in return. When you give in abundance, you will receive in abundance. And so I totally agree with you, Mike. And that's why we have the whole abundance philosophy. So with that, we're going to wrap this up. I know we're a little bit over on time. So thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate your support. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can email us at info@unicornuniverse.io if you have any questions. if you need access to anything that we talked about in the webinar today. And if you're looking for any connections, we're here to support you. So have a fantastic rest of your day. I hope you got plenty of value out of this, and we will talk to you soon. Go out there and make some golden connections.